everyone. I hope you're doing very well today. I'm so happy that you've landed here in this video where I would love to guide you through an exploration of Malasana or squat pose. So this is a posture that is a very deep hip opening stretch, and if you wish to take some time to warm up through your hips first, give them a good lengthy warm up before coming into goddess pose, then do know that I have a pratapana or a warm up video for the hips and the low back on my channel. So I'll include a link to that below, and then you can find your way there to warm up through your hips, and then you might come back to this video to try squat pose if you feel that that would be a beneficial sequence for you today. If you feel ready to dive in, then we can begin. So I just want to direct your attention to a couple of items that I have handy, a couple of props that can be supportive in Malasana, in squat pose. A bolster is one option. This can be helpful to sit on in your squat pose. So if you feel that lowering through the bum is available, but you love a little bit of extra support, then you might sit on a bolster, or you could sit on a block. You might like to have a pillow or a rolled blanket or even an extra yoga mat handy to support your heels, so if your heels are lifted. So these are a couple of things that throughout the video you might even pause and you can go and grab those props if you're noticing certain alignments in your body that you would like to hold yourself in even more support while you're enjoying the pose. Okay, so today we're going to find Malasana from table pose. We'll start from our hands and knees. So this can be a nice place to enjoy a few moments of warming stretches for the hips. You might send your hips from side to side. You can imagine you have a tail and you're wagging your tail with pleasure. Malasana is a posture of the second chakra, the sacral or Svadhisthana chakra, and a theme of this center is pleasure. We want this posture to feel pleasurable in our bodies, so it's so beneficial to take time to warm up even a little bit. You can circle your hips around one way and around the other way. Just noticing how you're feeling in the area of the hips and the low back today. We'll tuck the toes now behind you and start to walk your hands back, leaning into the balls of the feet. Walking your hands forward. We want to avoid cramping in the feet, so you can take your time with this rocking forward and back as many times as you need to. You might start to lift up through your heels as you are rocking back. So as the movement becomes a little bit more expansive, if that's feeling right for you, to exaggerate the movement a little bit, then your knees can start to reach out. You might imagine like a frog, a little froggy in nature. If it's difficult to touch the floor here, then you could use a block. So you might take a block along with you, and you could hold the block instead of the floor. Okay, so you can keep rocking forward and back. As I was mentioning, you can keep going with that. If you feel ready to find some stillness, open your feet and your knees a little further. So a little bit wider than the hips. Your toes might come in a bit on the inside of the knees, just to be mindful of what feels comfortable for your knees. And you can settle into stillness as you're ready. So pausing back here, beginning to find your squat pose. Notice if your heels are lifted, and that's okay if it's feeling comfortable. You can keep your heels up. If it's uncomfortable, you might fold your yoga mat underneath, or maybe you have that extra yoga mat handy. You can create a little bit more padding there. You could tuck a pillow under your heels as well, or a rolled yoga mat, blanket, anything like that. Good. Now notice you can creep and crawl your feet further apart, closer together. Come out of the pose anytime that you need to. We want to honor the knees, hips, ankles, all of the joints of the low body, all of the major joints there. Good. So as you're settling in, really taking your time, positioning the feet the way that feels right for you. Toes might turn forward or outward. Another great option, I was mentioning sitting on a prop. You might sit on a block or on a bolster. Being mindful, very mindful of your balance here. So when you perch on a prop, you might feel like you could tip back. You can lean against a wall for this posture too, for some more support. This is a really nice expression of Malasana, of squat pose, sitting on a prop, block, or bolster, as it can create a sense of ease in the pose so that we can really slow the breath down and linger here for a little bit longer. You may try bringing your hands palm to palm at the heart, perhaps even tucking your elbows toward the thighs, the inner thighs or knees. And if you're taking this gesture, or wherever you are in your squat pose, imagine that your heart is reaching forward. Can you feel your shoulders drawing down and back? We'll take 2 more deep breaths here. One more. At the end of the exhale, allow your hands to reach downward, and we're going to push through the feet, especially your heels, to lengthen the legs. Transitioning into a forward fold, and here you can ragdoll from side to side. Do keep your knees bent, please, to avoid overstretching. You can bend them just a little bit there, but it's nice to have the legs a bit longer, a little break. And we'll be coming back into Malasana after having this little break. We'll come into it another way, and we can go over some more options from this path into Malasana too. So it's just so wonderful about the practice of yoga that we have so many options to suit everybody. Let's bring the block in front now. If you don't have a block, you can also make use of a chair or a coffee table, the edge of a coffee table, even a couch or something like that. So some sort of ledge. And from your forward fold, you can place your hands on your ledge, whether it's a block or another item in your space. Take a deep breath in here, lengthen through your legs, lengthen through your spine. And as you exhale, bend your knees, lower your hips. Inhale, lengthen through the legs. You can lift halfway up through the spine, lengthen through spine. Exhale, bend the knees, lower the hips. And as you go, notice the position of your feet. So you can fine-tune the position of your feet, opening them a little further if you wish, taking them in a little closer. You might turn your toes out, Keep the toes forward, heels might lift. Just noticing whatever you notice in your body. Prioritizing feeling safe and comfortable is the most important thing. And you can keep flowing in this way for as long as you need to. And then when you do feel ready to pause in your Malasana, know that you might pause in a high squat with your forearms or elbows on your thighs or knees. This is beneficial as it's less of a flexion, less of a bend through our knees here, but it's very, very strengthening. So you can, which is of course wonderful, but maybe it's not what you're looking for. Perhaps it is. It can be very fiery. You may begin to drop the hips a little lower. I'm going to reach for my bolster this time. You could sit on a prop if you wish, like a bolster, or we've explored how to sit on the block. The block can be on any level. You can have it on the tallest setting, the medium, or lowest setting. Perhaps supporting the heels. You may even feel comfortable without using a prop at all. So honoring your comfortable, natural range of motion. If it's available, you could find Malasana without props as well. And as you're settling in, remember you can come out of the pose anytime that you need to. You can transition to a seat. You can stand and practice a forward fold, whatever you need. Take one more breath here as you open the heart. Lengthen through the spine. And you can either stand, coming through a forward fold and then standing up, or you might shift your weight back into your hands and find your way to a seat. And it can be nice to counter stretch, a little bit of windshield wiper movement through your legs. Perhaps even making your way into table pose and finding some more of those hip circles, or a plank pose. That could be nourishing for your hips and low back after all of that stretching. It can be nice to balance the stretching, the fluidity with strengthening and stability. So know that after some hip openers, it can be very beneficial to come into hip and pelvic stabilizers, like a plank pose or other postures. So I hope that you enjoyed this exploration of Malasana squat pose. I hope that you're feeling nice and warm and lubricated around the hips, and like your low back has gotten a good stretch. Welcoming, of course, the strengthening benefits of this posture as well. Lots of benefits for the area of the pelvic floor. It can help us to strengthen through our glutes. Lots of tissues around the pelvis and core, legs as well. So do let me know if you have any questions at all about this pose. It can be difficult. This pose can be difficult for many bodies. So just please do feel welcome to reach out with any questions. And I would love to connect with you further. And I hope to see you in another video soon. If you are loving diving into postures a little bit more in depth in this way, these explorations or clinics, posture clinics sometimes they're called, then you will love this 200-hour yoga teacher training that I'm a part of. It's called the Embodied Wisdom Yoga Teacher Training, and it's online. It's guided by amazing teachers, and I'll post a link below for you to access some more details about this opportunity to dive deep into postures and the wisdom teachings of yoga. Thank you so much for being here today, and I'm excited to see you in another video soon. Namaste.